姐姐报警称妹妹被性侵了，并且父亲也被强奸犯杀死。随后便讲述了案发经过。
He kissed me, and he put his fingers inside me, and I couldn't move. And then my dad came home.
The man started going towards my dad with a knife, and my dad told us to run, so we ran into my room and locked the door.
结果最后父亲却遇害了，对此警察表达了同情，却不料姐妹俩并没有说实话，而真相也出乎了所有人意料。很快法医通过解剖尸体发现了3个疑点：一是父亲广坤身体上没有防御伤，不像抵抗过；第二，伤口非常浅，广坤明明能够用手按住伤口然后打电话报警的，但他没这么做；而第3个疑问则是广坤体内酒精浓度极高，当时应该是不省人事。对此警察有2种猜测，要不广坤是喝了酒回家的，要不就是姐妹俩撒谎了，那就需要再调查了。于是警察重新勘察了案发现场，结果竟发现父亲是在家里喝的酒，当时很可能已醉倒在沙发上，然后再被刺死的。不仅这些，警探接着又发现从窗户破洞处伸进手来，根本够不到窗栓，这与姐妹俩说的歹徒是打碎玻璃拉开窗栓闯进屋里的严重不符，这更加证实姐妹俩撒谎了。然后警察就又把姐妹俩传唤到了派出所，重新审问了一遍。不料姐姐先是谎称父亲是去酒吧喝的，结果下一秒就被警察戳穿了，并提到了一些细节让她解释。哪知对此姐姐竟无话可说，可警察并没有就此停手。最后眼见他们紧追不放，姐姐终于绷不住承认了。
You had to.
You had to what?
I had to protect my sister from my own father. My own father was raping my sister.
没想到竟是这么回事，杀父凶手居然就是姐姐，难道又是一场悲剧？而既然姐姐承认了，那接下来就正式进入审问了。俩姐妹也就坦白了。
We usually come home from school together, except for Thursdays, because I have band practice. So that Thursday, I came home, and the bathroom door was locked, and I heard her inside crying. So I told her that she had to tell me what was wrong.
What did she say?
Started after New Year's, January. It was only a few times on Thursdays before Brittany came home.
Laura told me that when he was drunk, he would go into her room at night.
We'd lay on the couch. He'd unzip his pants, put his penis inside me. It hurt, but he said that's what people who love each other do.
同时妹妹还坦言，这件事除了告诉过姐姐外，她还曾试着告诉邻居永强，而这正是警察想要的，因为这件事需要证实。随后他们就来找了永强，结果当听到妹妹被广坤性虐后，永强顿时惊呆了，一脸不敢相信，但却表示广坤虽然酗酒，可也十分疼爱2个女儿。不过警察目前首先要证实这件事，对此永强还真记得，称那天广坤喝醉了，于是妹妹就来了这里。她看上去有点不安，并说她生广坤的气，不想再住家里了，这应该就对上了，只是妹妹并没有明说而已。然而正当本森和检察官讨论怎么给姐姐定罪之际，警探突然来报告，刚才走访了广坤的公司，老板说每周4广坤都主持例会，不可能早回家的。
So he couldn't have been home sexually abusing his 13-year-old daughter.
那这就需要再审问姐妹俩了。不料没想到的是，广坤却立有遗嘱，竟指定永强作为姐妹俩的监护人。当警探提出再次审问的要求后，永强却当面拒绝了，这就让警察很无奈了，因为未经监护人同意，警方是无法找姐妹谈话的。可此时已经有理由怀疑永强也参与了谋杀，只有2姐妹知道真相，但只要永强这个监护人在，他们就没办法问到。哪知聪明的检察官立马想到，只要找到质疑监护权的证据就行了。于是警察就按照这个思路仔细研究起了遗嘱，结果还真发现了疑点，在姐姐的名字拼写中有一个字母居然和出生证明上的不一样，而真正的父亲是不会写错女儿名字的。显然那份遗嘱不是广坤写的。随后为了证实这一点，警察来找了父亲委托的遗嘱律师，但律师称是广坤亲自来办理的。于是他们拿出了广坤的照片，哪知律师竟不认识，接着又拿出了永强的照片，结果律师却说这才是广坤。显然父亲被永强冒名了，搞得警察不由得反问，你不觉得这个爹太年轻了吗？
Well, he had a photo ID and he had his daughter's IDs. He paid with a credit card. Well, why would somebody lie about that?
而这个理由彻底让俩人无语了。既然遗嘱是伪造的，警察不仅要追究永强的责任，当然也要把姐妹俩都带走。却不料这时意外竟发生了，妹妹突然冲了过去，不想离开永强，即使警察用了枪，她也死活不想和永强分开，还大喊我爱你。这一看就有情况呀。但越不正常，警察越是要将姐妹俩和永强分开。可是面对审问，永强只愿承认犯了欺诈罪，并狡辩也有不得已的苦衷，理由是有天广坤曾对我说他想自杀，我对此深信不疑，因为他酗酒还很压抑。而现在回过头看，他对小女儿做了那种事，显然心中充满了罪恶感，并且我还请求过广坤去看心理医生，但他心意已决，所以我实在不忍心看着他死后2个女儿被送去寄养，所以才出此下策。
Did you know Brittany was going to kill her father?
No, I swear to God.
What's up with Laura? She says she loves you. What's that all about?
She loves me like a big brother or an uncle. It's not romantic. That is ridiculous.
Not from where we're sitting. It's not.
If anything, it was a schoolgirl crush. I'm in love with my girlfriend. You can ask her.
警察当然会去问的，但也不会就此放过永强。他的欺诈罪和绑架罪是躲不掉的。然而女友却很是力挺永强。虽然警察提到了他伪造遗嘱，但女友也辩解永强是迫不得已。可接着警察就问了一个关键问题
How long have you two been involved?
Almost a year.
所以至今都不同居就很有问题了。而女友也读懂了警察的眼神，她解释是为了方便照顾姐妹俩。
They need him.
That's what Greg told you?
That's what I know. He's been there for them more than their own father. He made them dinner, listened to their problems, helped them with school, exposed them to art, music, and literature.
I'm sure he's a great tutor.
He is. Greg and Laura are reading Shakespeare together.
结果警察一看读的竟是《罗密欧与朱丽叶》，这不是爱情小说吗？并且上面还有题字，一看就是永强写的。可女友却不在乎，她信任自己的男友，而这一看就是被深度洗脑了。女友不倒戈，警察也就拿不到她的指证了，只能再来找妹妹了。哪知妹妹又改口，和永强的爱属于兄妹情，但却被本森一语道破，这是永强教的吧？而当提到读《罗密欧与朱丽叶》时，他又辩解是在学英语，不料本森当即说出了题词，明确指出你是朱丽叶，他是罗密欧。
So you two are in love.
I'm not like other girls playing with baby dolls. I am a real woman.
Is that what Greg said? Because he told us that it was a schoolgirl crush.
可妹妹根本不信，还拿罗密欧与朱丽叶的爱情举例，把自己和永强也比作一对苦命鸳鸯。
Even when it hurts, because that's what people
Who love each other do?
结果一下就被怼了回去。接着本森坦言，我知道和你发生关系的不是广坤，而是永强，但他现在背叛了你。
He wouldn't do that.
But he did. He told us that he was in love with Susan.
You're wrong. Susan doesn't even have a ring on her finger.
That's not what love is.
How would you know? You don't have a ring either.
这回轮到本森哑口无言了。
But I do.
What?
接着他就从包里拿出了一枚戒指。
Greg proposed.
等我18岁我们就结婚。这下本森可被惊得不轻，看着妹妹一脸憧憬的样子，真是无药可救了。不得不说永强的手段果然高明。至于姐姐，也深信强奸妹妹的人是广坤，而这也是杀她的原因。即使本森告诉他妹妹说谎了，他和永强的关系也说谎了，但姐姐不信。
Not on her own. Greg manipulated her. Greg was the one who was abusing her.
There was no relationship between them.
见状，本森只能拿出证据。
So, Brittany, your sister told you that your father was abusing her at night. And she told us that it was on Thursday afternoons when you were at band practice. So when you came home, was your father there? Or was Laura at Greg's apartment?
可姐姐又反驳永强有女友啊。
Was Susan at Greg's apartment on those Thursday afternoons?
对此他就不知道了。随后本森挑明永强根本不爱他女友，他追求的是你妹妹，并且操纵她，让她以为自己坠入爱河。他甚至更进一步地向她求婚了。结果一听这话，姐姐基本就相信了，因为她见到过那枚戒指。
What did she say? What did she tell you?
That me and her and Greg, we were gonna all live together, and everything was gonna be okay. And then she'd just been babbling on about like this Romeo and Juliet stuff, which I.
至此，姐姐再也说不下去了。她不敢想，居然是妹妹骗自己亲手杀了父亲。而眼见时机已成熟，本森赶紧趁热打铁，指出罪魁祸首其实是永强，妹妹完全是被操纵的。希望你配合工作，让永强再也不能伤害你和妹妹了。而至此，姐姐也就没啥好推脱的了。随后就带好窃听设备，将永强单独约了出来，准备套出他的实话。而警察则在一旁监控。接着姐姐明言：“我已知道你俩的关系了。”对此，永强哪敢承认，竟狡辩给戒指只是安慰妹妹，当然也没向她求婚。他是活在幻想的世界里。甚至拉住了姐姐手，安慰她我们会再在一起的，竟还幻想着3人美好生活。不料姐姐又语出惊人，暗示妹妹可能怀孕了，以此试探俩人的关系。起初永强还装傻，但在姐姐的无情注视下，不得不承认确实和妹妹发生过关系。而在证实了这一切后，姐姐当即暴怒了，怒斥她操纵妹妹，欺骗自己亲手杀了父亲，接着情绪失控，一刀捅过去。不过好在警察及时赶到，安慰永强不要紧，没杀了你就算不错了。随后就把他逮捕了。最后永强数罪并罚，被判了25年。可这场谎言带来的创伤，却已经永久刻在两姐妹的人生里了。